What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another one. First video after our beautiful win on the weekend, which I'm still smiling over, as you can probably imagine. Was great to pull it off, like absolutely phenomenal. But if you're new here, please consider subscribing. There's a lot more to come. Like, this is not the end by any means. It's actually the beginning of a new chapter. Like, we have had so many messages. We've had like quite a few like really interesting developments for next year as well because of this. So yeah, like, stay tuned for as long as you can, because it could well get very tasty after this. But anyway, I wanted to jump in, and I think I didn't really know what to title this video. I didn't want it to be clickbait in any way, even though it's kind of not clickbait, but it should be, really. But it's like, I really didn't know what to title it, and I figured that there was a lot of people came up to me on the day, and they were just like, oh, how did you go so quick? Like, how were you so quick at that climb? And then they heard about like the power that I did and my current weight, and they started like, just mind blown. The whole gif started coming, the meme, mind blown. And I was like, let me explain. And then I thought, wait, let's make a little analysis video. So this is going to be a really quick one, and I've already heard some people's thoughts about it, and it's interesting because I love to hear people's thoughts. But this is my training peaks, and this is the climb, and we're going to jump between training peaks and Strava for this one. So this is it. Like, this is raw, this is the climb. So as you can see, the purple is my power right here, and this is some of the data. So 1140 watts per kilo, 7.17 or 7.2, whatever you want to call it. Intensity factor 1.16. That intensity factor is based off an FTP of set an FTP that's set on my training peaks for something like 380 or something like that. Like, I don't think that's accurate now. I think I could be on for a 410 watt 20-minute power, possibly. But I'm not going to try that because it's now almost November, and I'll probably get some form of pneumonia with the cold air. So I'm not going to bother doing something like that. But the whole idea is, like, this is my actual power, this is my actual weight. Like, there's no hiding. And like, I know people have said it's world tour power and blah blah. Like, okay, it might be, but what does that actually mean? Like, it's basically a 10-minute effort up a hill, and I've not done 3 hours of racing before it. Don't get me wrong, I think it's still impressive, but it's, put it into context. I'm not here to blow my own trumpet. So my pacing strategy. The first 1.5k, unless you Strava for this, because it's a lot easier to see it. But the first 1.5k, I set off really hard. I figured it would be the best time to neutralize any time that I might lose to anybody, or even gain time. So the first 1.2k, 441 watts. So that's kind of like my best 3-minute power of the whole race right there. Then there was a section here where it flattened out a little bit, and I came down to 410, a little bit of recovery. And then the steep section, which is through the trees, under the cattle grid, 10% for 500 meters, 430. So I upped the pace, well, up the power anyway, up the effort. Then there's like a slight bit of recovery here that, like, we didn't really, when we looked at this, when we tried to plan our pacing strategy for this on last Monday, so just over a week ago, we were looking at this section, we were like, there's a really short 300-meter section here. Like, do we actually feel like I need to use it to recover, or should we just press on to the top because it's not that far? Well, press on to the top of this first phase, which is right here. So what I did was I treated this climb like basically 2 hill climbs. So the first hill climb ended at 3.5k, then there was recovery, and then there was the final kind of hill climb to the top. So I broke it down, and I thought, is it worth using this recovery here before pressing on here, and then recovering here, and then pressing on? Or should we just kind of fuse this whole section into one, which would mean, extra kind of an extra long effort then, and it turns out I used it. So I went down to 411 again, and look at the speed. Like, I'm not losing time going at 31.6k an hour over 5% gradient. Like, it's not big time lost at all. If I was to press on, I wouldn't gain much time. So then we up the pace until we get to this corner, which is right here. And this corner pretty much signified the end of the first phase. So you can see 8%, and I managed to ramp it back up to 430-ish. And I'm finishing, and this is kind of like the important bit, and this is what we emphasized when me and Anthony were talking about pacing. When I came to this corner, I knew there was going to be like a rough tailwind coming into this flat section. So I thought if I gained enough speed here, that means I come into this section, a couple of kilometers an hour faster than if I was to just kind of ease through it, if that makes any sense. So I made sure I pressed as hard as I could until, I gained enough speed to kind of relax. So my speed goes up to 35k an hour, and then I relax. As you can see, power really, really drops away, but the speed is still increasing all the way up to 51k an hour. And this section here, like, I was soft tapping, like 311 watts, recovering. And I think that's, like, people have been saying, like, oh, it's, it's a climb for time trialists, it's not a climb for like pure hill climbers. But I kind of disagree, because I think it's a climb for road racers, or at least guys who are capable of going well over threshold, recovering very, very quickly, and then going well over threshold again. And that's what I kind of train my body to do. A lot of my efforts and intervals over the last few weeks, you'd have seen them if you've followed along the videos, but I was generally doing a lot of kind of 1 minute on or 1.5 minute on, 460, 470 watts, and then recovering at like 150 watts for 30 seconds, and then doing it again, and it'd be 10-minute blocks, and then I'd do them 3 times, so I'd be working that zone almost 25 minutes in one session. So it's a lot of quality there. So this has allowed me to kind of be able to recover and do that. And then the final section, and this is where the race was won or lost in my opinion. I couldn't believe that I managed to pull out almost 500 watts for, the last 8 minutes. I mean, even for myself, I didn't think this was possible. To finish this strong after doing this whole effort here and having such a short recovery, I didn't think I'd be able to do it. When we looked at it, we thought, the Strava segment was something like a 148, I think, for this time here. And I thought if I could do that, at least I wouldn't lose time to any of the big guys on that last section, because I was worried. I was actually really worried that this last section would be my Achilles heel, because it was so steep that, I wouldn't be able to punch over it. But it turned out to actually be my strength. And I managed to set the fastest time, obviously take the Strava KOM, which is the main thing. But the actual segment itself, like, I couldn't believe, even when I got here, I knew. Like, I was sat down here doing 500 watts, and the pictures that you're probably seeing from the finish, loads of people, the community, the atmosphere at the top was incredible. But my face, if you look at the pictures, and I posted some on Instagram, my face, there's two faces in my opinion in hill climbing. There's the face, so both faces are pain faces, but one face is like you're in control of the effort, and then the other face is the effort is in control of you. And through all of this, like, I was in control of that effort, I had that face on, and then when I got here, like, the effort was in control of me. So it was like perfect timing for the last 25 seconds to really empty the tank. That's when you really want to be kind of really struggling. And yeah, like, this last section, like, this is why I think it was the decisive section. I put time into Rich Bussell, who came third actually overall in the race. He had a bronze medal. And then, Paul, phenomenal ride. He came second overall. He only finished 9 seconds down on me, but he hemorrhaged time in this last 700 meters, and I think that is where, you know, the race kind of turned on its head. People said I finished very strong, and it's true. I did finish very strong indeed. I don't think Paul died away, but obviously I can't speak for him. But I don't think he, you know, died a death. I think he paced it well and he finished strong. But I think I just finished so much stronger than I was expecting. Like, we thought I'd be able to do maybe 460 at a push after that huge effort, but I actually managed to do 500. And that's what kind of clinched it. I think just the ability to do that, like I did. Yeah, I mean, if there's anything I've missed, or if there's anything you want to know my opinion on from the day, I mean, I only really went into my pacing strategy because I feel like that is the, you know, that made the biggest difference, I think, because when you look back on, you know, just 2 weeks ago, prior to this event, I did the Welsh Hill Climb Championships, and I managed 420 watts. You can see it on Strava if you want to look on my profile on Strava. I did 419 watts for 12 minutes. So this ride actually, you know, blitzes that by nearly 11 watts. So to be able to find 11 watts in like, you know, 2 weeks is exceptional. But I think that's come down from my pacing strategy rather than my actual fitness or even freshness. You know, I don't think it's and even here people are saying, you know, how is it possible that I managed to do 435 here for a 6.5 minute hill climb that I went absolutely maximal effort for? How come I only did 435 and then a week later I did 435 for almost double the time on Haytor? How is that possible? Well, this climb is quite shallow. I was going quite fast, so it's harder to get the power out. Aerodynamics comes into play a lot more. You know, when you're doing nearly 20 mile an hour, aerodynamics is coming into play a lot more than raw power. And of course, like, this is like a sticky middle. Like, if it was a 5 minute climb, in my prime, maybe 2 months ago, I did 450 watts for 5 minutes. I know that that's well below what I can do now. Like, I can probably do around 475, possibly at a push. I may be able to do 480 for 5 minutes currently, but we're not going to try that because of the air. You get the idea. Again, if there's any comments, anything, I'd love to know your thoughts on any of this. And yeah, if I missed anything, then I'll try and answer you in the comment section.